Alright, you loose screws and whatnots. This time we have a very special packaging. No, it's not a recording one. It's not records included, but something else. So let's take the unboxing knife. Very special tool. And can you guess what's inside? Those who know the brand already know what it is all about. I know what to expect, but then again, not really, because I know this particular brand is goofy as hell. One of the reasons why I like them. The other reason is obviously the very fact that I know that they do product that is of good quality. Products. Let's say in plural. Products. Everybody, team, hey ho, whatnot. Okay, this is a puzzle game. I have not yet revealed how to open, but with brute force, here it is. I have no idea what's going to be included. But let's see. First of all, here's a piece of paper. Who even reads paper? I probably need reading glasses for this one, but it says something like, "Hello, Jerry," and something interesting. But it's in Finnish, so I'm not gonna read it out loud here. I'm gonna read it with my own time, with more stuff. Then we have... Oh, look at this wonderful Raimon suklaa-yllätys chocolate surprise. I'm gonna have some yummy time with a couple of these, and this is, I guess, a company branded candy. One can never have too much candy or beer. Then some nice pins. Putting these pins on your very self, on your shirt, jacket, what have you, makes you a very interesting person. This is a very cool thing to have. You cannot never have too many caps, so I'm gonna put this on my head. We have some kind of a piece of presentation. Maybe it's a supersize sticker. Then we have something that is called a Valco skins, means colorful ear pads, covers for trendsetter Lust auf sein Schnitzel. You get it. Then we have something that went on the floor. More candies. They're really giving me reason to bulk up. And then of course the mandatory product. They didn't make this package just to send me some candy. Rest assured. Now obviously what you want to see is headphones. Now those who know the band already know it's from the 1980s, Megadeth. And here is for those who didn't recognize it. So it comes with this information stuff. Sturdy packaging, but not super hard, meaning it's gonna be lightweight, but it's also gonna do its job and support the contents. And what are the contents? As you can see, headphones, supposed to be very high quality. Review follow after I've actually done using these for a while, but first unboxing, you can only do it once. Another way of, where did I put my knife? Why I would use knife on the box is my fingers are too big for this one. As you can see, there is this adapter. So you can use it for example, computers which have double jacks. Not necessary for, for a lot of people in many cases and all that stuff, but might be useful. The actual headphones, you have them branded, obviously, for dumb people like me, right and left. So you're like, okay, which way I'm gonna put this in my head? Very nice fitting. I cannot hear any outside voice. They are really fitting nice and feels like I'm in a different world right now. Comes with a couple of buttons right here, as well as the jack right here. Feels very nice. I think this kind of fake leather. Yes, you can just adjust the headband right here. So all very good so far. What else we have in the box is, of course, some kind of a user's manual. Now, if this looks like your shower genitalia box for using those foams and whatnot, I mean, it kind of has the feeling. Jokes aside, everything is nicely fitting in this super cool looking box. And then you have USB-C cable, USB-A, USB-C respectively, so you can just use it, with modern equipment. And in case you want to go full analog audio, not so much using the USB ones, you have these stereo connectors, and that's pretty much of it. So obviously, if you want to do it, with the classic stereo output or input kind of stuff, you need to use this adapter because a lot of computers do that. So this is how it looks like. The next step is to check out how does it sound like. That's gonna be hard for me to imitate, but I'll try to describe it once I have put these babies into use at the gym, at various locations when I'm traveling and all that stuff. And probably I will also try to read these interesting things as well, assuming I do have the capability of understanding. And finally, warning, do not use as a toilet paper, it causes several rectal damage. That's some Valco humor to you. Now let's see, how does this piece of technical quality work out? So, now you've seen the packaging, you've seen me training with those babies, these babies. It's time to tell a little bit of, experience-based commentary, what to really say about these Valco Megadeth headphones. Now, I've been using these already quite a few weeks. This means they have been traveling me to the gym most of the times. Sometimes I do forget them. Let's talk about that in a bit. And I decided to put them into the ultimate test, meaning they were traveling me to different country, Greece in this case, where I was visiting for a black metal show for a few interviews and all. Now, why I call it the ultimate test? For two reasons. First of all, when you're on a plane, that really puts these, active noise cancelling features to proper use, because you know how it is in the airplane. It's all the time. You get the idea. You want to block the sound off and whatever. Another thing is, that's exactly also the time when you decide if a thing or two is too bulky to go with you or not. Will you be carrying them around or not? Well, probably the answer to most music users is yes. But sometimes people go with something like earbuds. That's what I usually do with most of my time, carrying around some headphones. But like I said, I wanted to make sure if I was ready to carry these babies around or if it would feel like too much. Now, as you probably already know, I did, and I was really happy that I brought these along. Could I have survived the trip without these? For sure. Did they make my trip better? Yes, definitely. Now, that's exactly what I mentioned earlier, just a minute ago, when I was talking about sometimes I didn't bring these to the gym. Why? Was it I being lazy? No. Was I being myself being forgetful? Definitely. Sometimes I would just forget. One of the reasons is I almost always store my things in a nice case when there's one available. And this box, which I already showed you, well, it's a very sturdy one. It's still very lightweight and all that stuff, but because I keep it most of the time on my table, sometimes I just forget it on the table. Now, this is where earbuds definitely come more handy. I'm not gonna lie, because I have this small box, in fact, the earlier version of this too. So it always goes in my smaller pocket in my pants. I cannot really go outside without, taking them with me, because I always store them in my pocket. That's the benefit of having earbuds. Are they more useful in, working out at the gym? Well, in many cases, sure, because these are the kind of, headphones that might just, fall off, or they might feel like it's too much, around your head when you're doing your working out or whatever. But to be honest, one thing I learned, as you probably already saw in the video, that this design is very, very nicely fitting. So when I put these on my head like this, it just feels good. They don't feel like it's too tight. They don't really like push against my ears, nor they feel too, loose, in which case they would definitely just fall out of my head in things like the deadlift video you just saw. Because that's the movement, when your back kind of goes, and also with your head, back and forth, and you're really focusing on lifting the weight, not just, keeping something around your head. That's in my way also another ultimate test. But I'll be also honest with you, had I gone, running around, jogging or whatever, this might have felt, too much. I don't know. I don't run these days, so it doesn't really concern me. It's just something that I probably wouldn't have, felt comfortable with. But that's another thing. When you're looking for some kind of a sport headphones or whatever, probably buds are by default your way to go. Now, if you want to go for more better sound quality, that's exactly when you go for headphones. And another good thing is, with this, the sound quality is in fact really good. Some of my friends described this Valco sound quite flat, and that's not meant to be a negative thing, but more like a neutral statement. There is no like emphasized bass, which is very common with, gaming headphones. You want to hear the explosions and gunfire and whatever in a very, very more like empowered ways, like it has to be big blasts, But when you are going for music, it doesn't matter whether you're going for classical music, metal music, techno music, whatever, you kind of want to have neutral. And why so? Because you want to make sure that whatever you're using for your music equipment, you want to go for that, equalizer. You want to make sure that you get to choose what kind of settings might be there for you, whether it's more treble, whether it's more bass driven, or just neutral. So calling it flat is actually more of a compliment rather than a negative thing. When it comes to design and weight, well, these actually feel very lightweight. While I'm totally being used, and very much so over the years with earbuds, I didn't feel uncomfortable with these. It's actually quite of a small step from moving on from those small buds to something like this. It totally felt like a weird step to take, but after a while, it felt just natural. I mean, it's not obviously my first time ever using headphones, but when I'm gaming, I use gaming headsets. When I'm listening music on the go, I usually go with the buds. Now I feel kind of like my mindset has changed a little bit. I'd rather take these with me wherever I'm going, if I have the space, the room in my luggage, and of course if there is no problem with how much you can pack stuff to go with, and if I'm not forgetting them. So when it comes to the size, the weight, the design, sound quality, all good so far. When it comes to these buttons, it's a very simple design, and you will, at least I did, learn by very instinctually use this, because, for example, this middle multi-function button, or motherfucking button, like it was, I think, in the guidance book, it's easy to just, put them on, put them off, make it connect to other Bluetooth devices and so forth. So once you kind of put them on, it's very easy to just like find the button. And that's also when you realize if they are the right way in your head. Now here's a cue. R and L. R of course goes for the right, and left goes for left head. But there's one thing which puzzles me. Why they designed the headphones twist like this. You might understand automatically what I'm meaning, but in case you don't. Now, when you want to carry them around, you might want to stretch these a little bit, put them around your neck, and now they are quite nice. That is, if you don't want to hold it on all over your head. Now, here comes the trick. If I turn them this way around, you already saw what's the problem. This is left and this is right. So instinctively, when you're wearing them like this for like, hey, conductor, here's my train ride ticket, okay, bye. Then you go for like this, which is when you realize they're on the other side. So rather like this, You go for, oh shit, I'm gonna twist and turn. Now, of course, you could do it like this, but to me it feels weird. Why they would be on the outside rather than towards me? Now, obviously, this is not a big issue, which I guess brings me to the very point. There are no real issues with these headphones. They're good in sound quality, they are nice to use, they feel nice around your head, and there's even Dave Mustaine talking to your ear. I mean, when you put them on, you will hear Dave Mustaine saying it's on. When you put them off, he does the same, but saying it's off. Or when you're gonna go connect, it's always Dave Mustaine. So this collaboration with Megadeth is actually pretty nicely done. Can't really figure out how you would do it that better. Maybe the color scheme could be something different. But to be honest, I don't know how many people would have actually liked this to be like something like Peace Sells Who's Buying color scheme. It's one thing to have a colorful album cover than to have colorful headphones. I, for one, really like when it's that neutral like this. Just black and white with this nice rattlehead thing. I mean, you could really imagine it to be something else if the band was something different, but obviously this is Megadeth thing. The funny thing is, I'm not even a Megadeth fan, but owning these headphones right now makes me feel like I probably should go through the whole Megadeth discography and do a video about it, because like, why not? Well, I added to my list of things to do, so there is that. It will be happening eventually. What can I say is that when you have this mode button, which is all around your left ear, is like you can pretty easily switch from silence, which means its active noise cancelling is on, to something like transparency mode, where you can actually listen to music and hear what's happening around. That's actually very, very useful if you're in a traffic. You want to make sure you hear the buses coming and the other vehicles, so you don't just walk underneath and get bumped. So might feel weird at first. Why would you need a transparency mode for headphones? Because you actually want to have, be left alone and all that stuff. Now, it's a safety thing, obviously. In many cases, like when you are wearing these maybe in your office space, maybe you're avoiding your spouse while you're cooking food and want to be, around this. Maybe your kids are screaming too loud and you want to just escape the world with these babies. Obviously, you either go for the noise cancelling option or the neutral one, which is not really transparency mode, nor the voice cancelling thing. But that's another story. So, in fact, there are multiple options for whatever you're doing with the headphones, and you gotta like it. Because, you have to like it when you have more options than you really most of the time need. I was fooling around with these different settings at the gym, on the plane, and so forth, just to find out what would really be the difference. If I hadn't been testing them, I probably would go for the noise cancelling options pretty much 24/7. The battery is so good that despite my 1 month of use, well, I charged them once just to be safe on the plane and all, I really couldn't, get them the battery drained. So tells you something about my use of them and also about the battery. My point here is, for me, it's not a problem to charge items every now and then. So unless I have to do it every day, you can pretty much say, yeah, it's really good. So why would I not use the active noise cancellation even if it uses more battery? I can't think of any other reason except to spy on someone. Why would I spy on someone at the gym or whatever? No. Like I said, I was only testing those other options just for the sake of testing. Now, when it comes to the ultimate test on airplane, I really wanted to hear the difference, how it would be with the active noise cancellation versus, just transparency mode. The difference is huge. Like I said, in the plane you will get this massive booming sound or whatever background ambience noise it is. And, it kind of feels annoying when you know that you have an option to avoid it, which is putting the ANC on. So the difference is huge. When I had ANC on and I was listening to music, I could really focus on those details, be it drum cymbals, be it some guitar solos, whatever really. Like for instance, I was listening to Niall's latest album for 2024, and as you might know, Niall being very, very technical, highly progressive, but also very heavy death metal band, is filled with lots of details, coming from the different cymbals and, you know, all that stuff to the guitar work, to the vocals, etc. So obviously you want to focus on those details. I do for sure. So for me it was really like very, very nice. I couldn't imagine doing that without this good level of noise cancellation. So yeah, that's definitely the kind of ultimate test, you know, in addition to be at noisy work. Unfortunately, in the summertime, so I couldn't really try on this with my lawn mower, because that's also something that I really hate, you know, that noise what the lawnmower machine is doing. Now I have an electric machine for that, so it's less noise. It still does make noise, so active noise cancellation is definitely something I can totally, you know, really enjoy. What about the gym then? Yeah, there's always too noisy background music, which is something that I don't like. I don't care about some random clangs when the bar hits the iron, whatever. It's just part of normal life. But the background music, yeah, not really my thing when I really want to focus on music, especially between the sets and all. So I'm pretty much the active noise cancellation dude all the time when I'm listening to music. At home here, when I have the freedom of being just alone, nobody's making noise except my farts. Well, here I don't really need that, but that's when I'm using my stereo amp system. So active noise cancellation is not really needed at home. I don't really need headphones at home. It's more like my go-to thing when I'm on the run. So all in all, if I have to give some kind of a verdict, I'm not doing a numeric one, so you probably already know what I'm going to say about it. They are great. They're really good if you're a music lover. If you travel or want to be just left alone by other people talking, making noise, blah blah blah. Yes, this is the kind of stuff you want, especially if you're a Megadeth fan. Now, one thing I'm more like mentioning, not so much like testing, are these Valco skins which came with these, and I'm just gonna quickly show them again. You know, in case you wanted to get rid of those rattle heads, as you can see, these are pretty simple things. You could just remove these skins here and then replace with something else. Like in this case, you would have Valco instead of the rattle head and go with full camouflage. Now, it's one thing if you do prefer all black or this. That's a matter of taste, but just saying, it's possible. There's also possibility to use external microphone here, which Valco is very ready to sell you at a decent price in case you want to use this for, I don't know, online meetings or maybe even gaming and having a chat while you do. And then there's of course this USB port for charging. So everything what you need from a modern set of headphones is right here. And can't really say, but it feels good, even though, once again, not being a Megadeth fan, but when you have something more metallic than your typical headphones, it feels more precious. So, really, really good headphones. So thank you to Valco people, in case you're watching this, for sending me these nice little toys. I call them toys because toys sound so much better than tools. What can I say is I can totally recommend these to any music fan, especially that is apart if you go only for buds. But everything starting with the basic use, starting with the looks, to the weight, to the comfortability, everything is here really nailing it. So I now get finally why people have been praising Valco headphones to me, and the reason why I became so-called believer in these is exactly my own experience. So while I got these for free, for review, I was not paid to say these things. I do have too much integrity to sacrifice my very poor soul for a few bucks. So take it if you will or not, it's up to you. But I strongly recommend, in case you are looking for some good, badass, metal suitable headphones, this is exactly a good choice for you truly. By the way, now this other feature is that once they actually fold like this, they go into small space, and as such into this nice box you can totally use with them in order to save your headphones from the bumps and drops and whatever happens in your life. I know this became a more lengthy video than I was expecting it to be, but I wanted to go a little bit detail what's inside, how it looks, how it feels, how my experiences are and all that stuff. Now, should you have more questions, I still might not have commented some feature or whatever, drop me a comment in the comments box below and I will get back to you. And if it's more of the technical sort, well, I can put you through to the Valco people or ask on behalf of you if there's something you really need to know, because probably couldn't cover it all as much as I tried. So, what are you waiting for? If you're looking for some nice headphones, now you know what to do. This is Rauta, and off you go. See you with more videos coming your way. Take care.